your face, close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose, and a big exhale through your mouth. And just really kind of balance your head on top of your spine. So it's something I've been playing with. Most of us think that our head is where it should be, and it's still kind of farther forward. So if that feels like it might apply to you, and really it's all of us, consider before we start centering in, putting 2 fingers on the front of your throat and then just pulling your throat back a little bit. It's almost like feeling indignant. I call it the indignant look. It's like you're drawing your head back. It might feel a little odd, but just notice then if once you relax your arm down, if it feels like your head is literally sitting on top of your spine rather than slightly hanging forward. And then just start feeling into your body. Start noticing all the things you're feeling. Start deepening your breath. And then check in with your thoughts. Check in with your emotions and your energy. And let's go ahead and set our intention for our practice today. So bring your palms together in front of your heart. And just kind of take a moment to be really clear about what would be good for you today. Like what would be really beneficial for you today in practice. And then just take an extra deep breath in. Big exhale through your mouth. Let's relax the arms. We're going to roll the shoulders back a couple of times. Good. And then just transition onto your hands and knees. And let's do a few cat-cow stretches just to kind of limber and loosen the spine. Remember, you're following your breath here. So every time you breathe in, the head and the tailbone come up. And every time you breathe out, you round your back and the head and the tailbone point down. So it's like you're inhaling and your belly drops, and you're exhaling and your belly rises. Do that a couple more times. And then we're just going to bring in some lateral movement. So where you're at right here, dead center, this is kind of this neutral. This is your inhale. As you exhale, take both feet to the right and look over your right shoulder. Now you're going to stay here to inhale so that you feel your ribcage expand, and then exhale. And then inhale the feet back to the center. Exhale your feet to the left. Look over your left shoulder. Stay here so you can inhale and exhale. And then we'll do it one more time on each side. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, take your feet to the right. Look over your right shoulder. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale your feet back to the center, and then exhale to the left. Look over your left shoulder. You're going to inhale and exhale. And then come back to the center. Do any other little movements that you might want to do. You're welcome to wag your tail, whatever feels good. And then we'll all just take a couple of breaths in child's pose. From your child's pose, you can scoot forward into space. We'll just take a moment to lengthen out the low back. Make sure your shoulders are down the back as you pull forward with your forearms. Also make sure those glutes are relaxed. And then turn your toes under, downward facing dog. Push your tailbone up and back, just stretch. You can pedal the feet a little bit if you need to, whatever feels good. And then walk your feet forward. Take a couple of breaths just to hanging and ragdoll. Keep those knees bent. Keep it easy.
to begin with. So make sure your neck is really relaxed here. And then inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead, stretch up. And then exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Just take a moment, releasing the hands down. Let's find that aligned spine again. And so kind of like we did in the seated position, notice where your head is. And again, I'm just kind of speaking from personal experience. Even though my head's normally in this position, it's still too far forward. So put your fingers on your throat and kind of draw your throat back. And just notice how that changes your spinal alignment. Take a breath here, kind of letting that soak in. And then bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold all the way forward. Fingertips come down. And if you can, keep them down while you look up and lengthen. And then back down. We're going to step back with the left foot. Just hold our lunge for a couple of breaths here. And then go ahead and drop your left knee down. I'm going to have you put the right hand on the inside of the right knee. Gently press it open, rolling onto the outside edge of that right foot. And just take a few breaths here. Extend your right leg now, coming into a hamstring stretch, flexing the ankle and toes, trying to get that right leg as straight as possible, lengthening your spine, paying attention to your breath. And then we'll go ahead and bend the right knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Tuck your tailbone under, sink your hips forward. From here, bring the hands down. Those of you that like to take vinyasas, you can start doing that now. The rest of us are going to take our right knee back to meet the left knee and take child's pose. From your child's pose, you can scoot forward into either Sphinx or Cobra, whatever feels best to you. And then downward facing dog. Just take a moment to really stretch and lengthen your spine. And then step your left foot forward up between the hands. Get that lunge and just hold it for a couple of breaths. Go ahead and drop your right knee down, and we're going to put the left hand on the inside of the left knee. Gently press that left leg open. Make sure you're rolling onto the outside edge of the foot. So as always, you should feel this in your hip, but you should not feel it in your knee. Go ahead and extend your left leg all the way now. Get into the left hamstring. Flex your ankle and toes. Pull your chest forward. And then bend your left knee. Bring the arms up and overhead and sink your hips forward. Bring your hands down and step forward to a standing forward bend. Big inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Fingertips down if you can. Look up and lengthen. And then back down. We're going to step back onto hands and knees. Just strengthen the low back a little bit first. So what I'd like you to do is extend your right leg straight behind you into the air and flex your foot. If you feel like you can, extend your left arm into the air in front of you. And if possible, actually gaze forward. Good. Bring your left hand and your right knee down. You're welcome to wag your tail if you need to. And then extend your left leg out. Raise it into the air. Flex the foot. And raise your right arm out in front of you. And again, if possible, gaze forward. If that bothers your neck, don't do it. Good. Bring left hand and right knee down. Give yourself a tail wag if you need it. And then we're going to go straight into downward facing dog from here. So push your tailbone up and back. And then go ahead and take your right foot forward. Spin your left heel flat. Come up into a warrior two. So your arms are out to the side. That right knee is bent. Your left leg is straight. Take a breath here. And we're going to be stretching out the hips and the back a little bit. So interlace your fingers behind your back. And if you can, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Try and keep your right knee deeply bent. And as much as your body allows, you're going to fold right down the midline. You should feel this in your right hip, maybe the right side of the spine. Come all the way back up, and if you can keep that right knee bent, that'd be awesome. Release your arms back out. Left hand onto your left thigh. Reach the right arm up and over to reverse your warrior. Keep your right knee pressing out towards the little toe. Come on up, straighten your right leg. Kick your hips to the left and lengthen out for a triangle pose. Your right hand can be on your shin, it can be on your foot, it can be on a block. Just take a couple of breaths here. Now we're going to bring the left hand down and just lengthen out over your straight right leg for a moment. And then it's going to depend on your body where you go from here. So a couple of you guys need to be very gentle with your knees, in which case from this position, however you can get onto your back and do a figure four stretch with your right ankle across your left knee, that's where you're going. If you don't have knee issues, bend your right knee and swivel onto your left toes and drop your left knee down to the mat. You're going to just walk your right foot over a little bit towards the left. Let your right shin come down to the mat and slide your left leg back. And just like that, you'll be in pigeon. So at this point, you're either in pigeon with your right leg underneath you, and you should be feeling this in your right buttock, or you're on your back in a figure four stretch with your right ankle crossed over your left knee, hugging the knee in. Either one is fine. We're just trying to get into that right hip. And we're just going to take some nice, deep, slow breaths. So if you're in pigeon, if you can, you want to be on your forearms. For those of you that are more flexible, you're welcome to flatten out. Just do what feels best for you, because we got about 6 more breaths here.
If you're on your back in a figure 4 stretch, you can just start finding your way to downward facing dog. Those of us in pigeon, we're just going to plant our hands and step the right leg back. Downward facing dog. So it's kind of a long time to hold a pigeon or a figure 4. So you can wiggle for a moment if you need to, pedal that foot out. Those of you that like vinyasas, you can take one. The rest of us are going to drop to our knees and take a child's pose. And maybe notice in this child's pose, if your right butt side feels different from your left butt side. And then scoot forward into either Sphinx or Cobra if you're doing the gentler flow with me. And then we'll all meet back up in downward facing dog. And as you get to this down dog, you should be able to feel a difference between the right glute and the left glute. So from here, we're going to step the left foot forward, spin the right foot flat, and come up into warrior 2 on this left side. Take a moment, find your alignment, make sure your left knee is kind of pressing out towards the baby toe. And then interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together if you can. And we're going to try and fold right down the midline of the body, relaxing the neck, keeping that left knee bent, reaching the arms up and overhead. So now you should feel this in your left hip, left side of the back. Come all the way back up into your warrior 2. Try and keep the left knee bent if you can, and then reverse your warrior. Right hand on your right thigh, left arm up and over. That left knee should continue to press out towards the little toe. Come back up and straighten your left leg. Kick your hips to the right and lengthen out for triangle pose. Remember, it's fine to have your left hand on a block if that's where it needs to be. It can be on your shin, it can be on your foot, it can be on the floor. Just make sure you've got length on both sides of your spine. And we're just going to take our right hand down and lengthen out over that straight left leg. So just like we did on the right side, if you need to be attentive of your knees, please find your way to your back for a figure 4 stretch, this time with your left leg crossed over the right. If you're going to go into pigeon with me, you'll bend your left knee, swivel onto the right toes, and drop your right knee down. Then you're going to walk your left foot over towards the right side of the mat. Let that left shin find the floor, and slide your right leg back until you feel your left glute. If you can, you're going to come onto your forearms. So at this point, you're either in pigeon with your left leg underneath you, or you're on your back with your left ankle crossed over your right knee for a figure 4 stretch. Either way, you should be feeling your left buttock and breathing. And that's all you got to do. Let's go one more breath here. If you are on your back in a figure 4 stretch, just start finding your way to downward facing dog. If you're in pigeon, come back up onto your hands and just step your left leg back. So we should all be in down dog. Take a moment, wiggle it out however you need to, pedal the feet if you need to get that blood flow back. And then either taking a traditional vinyasa or taking a child's pose with me. If you're in child's pose and you'd like to scoot forward into Sphinx, you can do that.
And then we'll all meet up in downward facing dog again. From this down dog, we're going to walk our feet forward towards the front of the mat. And while you're still hanging forward, just step your feet wide to about the edges of the mat. We're going to come into a yogic squat. So you guys know the deal on this. Keep your heels flat. Only go as far as you comfortably can. Protect your knees. If you need to lean on your thighs or have your hands on the floor, that's fine. We're here for 3 more breaths. Be gentle with your knees. Just do your best. And then on your next inhale, we're coming all the way up. Reach the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart, feet together. All right, our balance pose today is going to be eagle pose, Garudasana, but we're going to build it from the top down rather than from the bottom up. Because I really want you to feel the upper back stretch before you have to worry about standing on one leg. So let's start with our arms in front of us, palms facing down. Your left arm's going to be on top, your right arm's going to be on bottom, and you're just going to cross them and bend your elbows and see if you can get the palms of the hands to touch, and if not, backs of the hands facing each other is fine. From here, still on both feet, pull your shoulders down the back, kind of lift your elbows up and push them forward. And you should feel a stretch between your shoulder blades. Just take an extra deep breath in. Good. Now, maintain this arm position if you can. I want you to bend both knees. So you're kind of coming into a baby squat. If balance is tricky today, your left foot can stay on the ground, but you need to cross your right thigh. So we're going to take the left thigh over the right. If you need to put your foot down, go for it. Otherwise, squeeze your thighs together. Drop your tailbone a little deeper and lift your heart. And then you can just unwind everything, roll your shoulders back. All right, we're gonna do the other side, starting from the bottom, from the top down, not from the bottom up. Arms are out in front of you, palms facing down. This time your left arm's on bottom, right arm on top. Bend the elbows, see if you can wrap and get the palms of the hands to touch, and if not, it's okay. Just do your best here. Shoulders pull down the back, elbows lift up and push forward. And again, you should feel this in your upper back. Just breathe really deeply right here. We're going to bend the knees. Remember, if you need to keep your foot down, kind of like a kickstand, you can. Otherwise, right thigh really tightly crosses left. You can either slide the toes down until they hit the floor or just kind of tuck them behind or beside your left calf. Drop your tailbone, lift your heart, and if you'll squeeze your thighs together, it'll help you balance. And then unwind. Both feet on the ground, roll your shoulders back. Good. Feet are together, palms are together. Take a big inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Look up halfway and lengthen. And then back down. Go ahead and step back onto your hands and knees. Take a moment, kind of wag your tail. And then we're just going to go into locked gate posture. So I want you to come all the way up to kneeling. You're going to take your right foot out to the right with your leg straight and your right foot flat. Make sure the whole sole of your right foot is flat. And then put your right hand on your right thigh. Reach your left arm up. Slide your right hand down that right thigh. So you're getting a nice deep side bend on the left side of your body. Take another really big inhale here so you feel your rib cage expand.
Good. And then here's what we're going to do from here, you guys. Keep your right leg out. This is going to be your kickstand. Legs are just like they are. Just bring your hands back down to the ground. Forget about your right leg for a moment. Scoop your left arm underneath you for threading the needle. It doesn't matter if your left hand grabs your right leg or not. This is still like a kickstand. Keep the whole sole of the foot flat. And then if your shoulders are okay with it, you're going to take your right arm up into the air and kind of maybe roll open a little bit. Remember, you can always modify or say no to anything I suggest. Just a reminder. I want you to take care of yourself and only do what's healthy for you. Good job, guys. From here, go ahead and come back onto all fours. Wag your tail a moment. And then we're going to go for the other side. So go ahead and come up to kneeling. Take your left leg out to the left. Left hand on your left thigh. Right arm reaches up. And then just start to slide your left hand down your left leg. You should feel a really nice stretch on the right side of your body. Take a couple of deep breaths here so you feel your rib cage expanding. Come back up. Keep your left leg straight, your left foot flat. Just forget about it for a moment. Forget about it. Bring your hands down to the ground like you would if you were on all fours. And then just take your right arm underneath you like you would for threading the needle. It doesn't matter if you grab your left leg or not. You should still feel like you're more stabilized here. If you feel stable enough and your shoulders are okay with it, take your left arm up in the air and kind of roll open. And then we'll just come back onto the hands, tuck that left knee underneath us, give ourselves a little tail wag. And if you want to do a vinyasa, go for it. Otherwise, let's take child's pose. From child's pose, if you're with me and you want to, scoot into either Sphinx or Cobra. And then downward facing dog. Really lengthen as much as you can in your down dog. From downward facing dog, walk your feet forward. While you're still hanging forward, take them back out to the edges of the mat for your second yogic squat. Remember to pay attention to your knees. So what's important is that the heels are flat. And if you need to have weight on your hands or even lean on your thighs and just make it a little bit of a knee bend, that's okay. Take care of your knees. For those of you that can get your backside all the way down, lift your chest a little bit. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And then in a safe and gentle way, you're just going to come to sitting. If you're pretty low in a yogic squat, you can actually just put your backside down and extend your legs. Otherwise, be gentle with yourself, have a seat, extend your legs, and let's just take a moment in Dandasana. So you know your legs are active. We're going to kind of like do the pose from, in this case, the feet up. I want you to flex your toes, press your heels into the floor. Keep them pressing down while you press the backs of the knees into the floor. You should feel your legs really like energized. You should feel your sit bones lift up through your chest. Make sure your hips are over your shoulders. And then we're going to do that same thing we did before. I want you to put your fingers on the front of your throat and draw your head back. Now you can have your hands on the ground to help support this straight aligned spine, or you can have your hands on your thighs. Let's take a couple of breaths here and check in. How's the body? How's your breath? Mind, heart, energy. What about your intention? Think about the intention that you said at the beginning of class. Good. And then we'll just keep the right leg straight. Bring your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. Go ahead and lean out of your right leg. Just stretch for a moment. Wherever your hands are, keep them there. We're lifting this right leg up and then lifting our chest. Trying to make sure the right leg is as straight as possible. And it's fine if you've got to hang on to your thigh or your calf, it's fine. Lift your chest, keep the leg straight, flex the ankle and toes. Take a couple of breaths. Now, this right leg that we have up in the air, we're gonna bring this down outside the left knee or thigh. And if you can, try and get that right foot flat. Lift up through your chest and bring your right hand behind you. And it's fine if your right glute comes up off the ground, by the way. Try and keep shoulders relaxed and start to twist to the right. So you can hug the right knee, or if you want to, you can bring your left elbow outside of it. Take a couple breaths. Now, your left foot is probably pretty close to your right glute. I want you to move it out a little bit and flex the ankle, because what we're going to do is take this into double pigeon, aka stacked logs or fire logs. Those of you with knee issues, please keep your feet flexed. The idea is we're just going to take the right foot that was on the floor and bring it on top of the left knee. When you look down, even if your knee is not on top of your foot, your right knee is over your left foot, your right foot is over your left knee. And then if they're not touching, like mine are obviously not today, you lift your chest and you start to lean forward a little bit. And you remember that this can be pretty intense, and you breathe and you don't go any farther than you should. If you can still breathe and you know you won't die, you're probably fine. If you find yourself starting to break a sweat and you're having a hard time breathing and you wish you would die, then you're too deep into the pose and you should come out of it. So let's take 2 more breaths here. And as we come out of this, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. Pull the heels in just a little, doesn't have to be a lot. Hands are behind you, lift your chest and press your knees out to the side and down towards the ground. So I'm saying this because it's a reminder to me, but this is a great place to check in. I have a tendency to stick my head forward here, even if my spine is straight. Draw your head back on top of your spine. You may have already been doing that. I was not. So it's just a really nice reminder. I go through this frequently of like trying to remind myself, always pay attention to where my head is, both literally and figuratively, right? You want to be aligned and you want to be present. Let's go ahead and extend the left leg. Let your right foot come to the inside of the left thigh. Go ahead and lean out over your left leg. Wherever your hands are is probably the perfect place to keep them. We're going to raise the left leg up. Lift the chest. Try and have a straight left leg. Flex the ankle and toes if you can. Take a couple of breaths here. Now, this left foot that's up in the air somewhere, we're going to bring it down outside the right knee or thigh and try and get that whole foot flat. That might mean, if you have tight hips like I do, it might mean your left glute comes up off the ground, and that's fine. Lift up through your chest, bring your left hand behind you, and we're just going to twist. So you can hug your left knee with the right arm, or you can bring the elbow outside of the thigh as you twist and look over your left shoulder. So the right foot, this bottom one down here, move it out a little bit and flex it, because we're moving into stacked log double pigeon, all this other nasty words you might want to call this. So left ankle is on top of the right knee, and left knee depends on your hip mobility. Some of you guys are probably just dropping your legs flat and you may not feel much. If you're not feeling it's an intense pose, but there's a difference between intensity and pain. Intensity is fine. Pain is never fine in yoga. Never. We're never here to create pain. Take a couple of breaths. And then again, as we come up from this, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, but this time slide them way out in front of you. Clasp your ankles and just start to nestle your rib cage down between your thighs. You may do this with an arched back or a rounded back, whichever feels better to you. Good. Come on up from that. Extend your legs out in front of you. Give them a good wiggle. And so it just depends on your body. If rocking back and forth feels good, we're going to do that a couple of times. If it doesn't feel good, you'll just rock side to side and we'll meet you there. All right. So if you can, you're just going to grab your knees and rock back and then rock forward. And again, if that doesn't feel good for you, man, don't do it, right? You could just stay on your back and rock side to side because that's where we're going to go after one more of these. If you've been rocking back and forth, come onto your back and stay there and then just go side to side. We're going to keep the right knee hugged in and extend the left leg all the way out into the ground. And just hug the knee for a moment. And then I want you to bring your right arm inside this right leg. You're going to grab the arch of your right foot from the inside with your right hand and then try and get your lower leg to be vertical. So your heel or the arch of your right foot is vertically stacked over your right knee. If you can, you apply a little pressure. You start to pull down a little bit like you're trying to pull your knee to the floor. Take a couple of breaths. Where you should feel this is in your right hamstring, so the back of the right thigh. You might feel the glute. You might even feel your low back stretch a little bit. Now I want you to extend your right leg straight up towards the ceiling. If you can, flex the foot. Once you get your leg straight, grab something. It can be your thigh, your calf, your foot. Just give yourself a nice hamstring stretch. Try to keep the leg straight and the foot flexed. And then hug your right knee in again. Give it a nice big squeeze. If your back likes twisting, you're just going to take your right knee across your body to the left with your right arm opening out. If you need to modify this because your back is a little more tender, please bend both knees, drop them to the left, and take the right arm out to the right. Once you're in your twist, if it feels okay with your neck, let your head turn to the right. Couple more breaths here. On your next inhale,
Roll back over, hug your right knee in, bring your left knee up to meet it. Feel free to give yourself a little side-to-side action if you need it. And then keep your left knee hugged in and extend your right leg all around to the ground. Left knee stays hugged in. And then we take the left arm and we bring it inside that left leg. Your left hand is going to grab the arch of the left foot. So you're on the inside of that leg. And you want to try and get your lower leg to be straight up and down. You want to flex the ankle and maybe even apply a little bit of pressure. So if you're pulling straight down on the arch of the foot, it should be pulling your knee towards the floor. Ideally feeling something in your left hamstring, maybe the glute, maybe the low back, and we breathe. Extend that left leg straight up towards the ceiling if you can. Straight knee, flexed foot, and then grab whatever you can. Pull that leg towards you if you can, keeping it as straight as possible for you. Trying to keep the foot flexed. Take a couple breaths. And we're going to hug the left knee into the chest. And again, turn it into a twist. So if you can do regular twisting, you're just going to take your left knee across your body and let your left arm open out. If you need to modify, go ahead and bend both knees. Left arm opens out once you're into your twist. If you can, your head turns to the left. On your next inhale, bring your left leg back up, hug your knee in, bring your right knee up to meet it, and rock side to side. From here, we're going to take the right thigh really tightly over the left thigh. That's super tight crossing of the legs. Grab your feet or ankles and kind of try and pull them towards your ears if you can. Coming back into sensation in your right glute, right side of the back side. Keep your thighs tightly crossed. Let go of your knees or feet or whatever you're hanging on to. We're just going to draw 3 big circles in the air with our knees, and I want you to do 3 in each direction. So you should feel like your pelvis, your sacrum, your low back is all getting a little bit of a massage from the floor. When you've gone all circles in both directions, uncross your legs, hug your knees in, and rock side to side. And then we're going to take the left thigh tightly over the right thigh. Reach down, grab the feet or ankles if you can. Pull them up towards your ears. And then if you can't reach your feet or ankles, just hug your knees in. But keep your knees tightly crossed. You should feel this in your left glute. Let go of the feet or ankles or knees, but keep your thighs tightly crossed. And again, we're going to do those 3 big circles in the air with our knees. Each direction gets 3 circles. As you finish out, hug your knees in, rock side to side. Ask your body what it wants to do for an inversion. So those of you with blocks might want to do a supported bridge or legs up the wall without the wall. Those of you wanting to work a little harder might want to do a regular bridge, or you might want to do a plow or a shoulder stand. You get to choose whatever you want to do today. It can be super gentle or super challenging, up to you. Just make sure that abdominal organs are higher than the heart, or the heart is higher than the head. That's all that's required. And we're going to take 6 breaths. So whatever feels best for you, that's what I want you to do for 6 slow, deep breaths. On your next exhale, if you're not already out of your inversion, come on out. Give your knees a final hug and a little rock, and then grab your feet and happy baby. So explore some movement, see what feels good. See if there's anything else you need to do before we start to prepare for our relaxation. Any movement is fine. When you do feel like you're ready, we'll go ahead and put the feet on the mat. Let the knees drop, put the soles of the feet together. And just pause for a moment. Just feel that inner thigh stretch. It's a gentle, passive stretch. And then we'll just do that pelvic tilt to lengthen the low back muscles. So on your next inhale, you're just kind of trying to press your low back into the mat. You'll feel your pelvis tilt. The curve is eliminated. You're breathing. And on your next exhale, you relax. Let the curve come back into the spine. And just begin to extend your legs and get yourself ready for Savasana. So legs can be separated a lot or a little, just depends on what your body wants today. And every day is different. Once you get your legs in the right spot, make sure that the thighs and the ankles are totally relaxed. Make sure your glutes are soft. We did some hip work, so make sure those are relaxed. Your spine should feel long all the way up to the base of the skull. You're going to relax your shoulders, rotate the hands, palms up if you can. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue, close your eyes, soften your forehead, take a deep breath in, sigh it out, and just settle in to this sweetest of relaxations. So just feeling your body respond to the posture. Shavasana becomes like all the other poses. It becomes more and more familiar, and it becomes easier and easier. And so today I'm actually going to give you a guided imaginary relaxation, so a guided visualization. And first, I'd like you to just imagine yourself in your favorite outdoor place. And that can be anywhere in the world, by the way. Just put yourself in your mind in your favorite outdoor place. And I want you to notice the sky. Notice any vegetation or water around you. Notice how the ground feels beneath your feet. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice any ambient sounds, if there's any kind of a like rustling of grass or leaves or crashing of waves. Just notice if there's any sound. And even notice if there's a scent or an aroma in this place that you're at. Then I'd like you to imagine that there is a log or boulder that looks very inviting, and I want you to have a seat on it. So just feel yourself sitting down onto a rock or a log.
And imagine that you see a beautiful bird land in front of you. It can be any kind of bird, doesn't matter. And you recognize that this is a very special bird. The two of you make eye contact. And you make this implicit agreement that you are going to trade bodies for a brief amount of time. And you feel this happen. So I want you to imagine now that you are in the body of the bird that you were just looking at, whatever kind of bird it was. Just take a moment and see how that feels to have the legs and feet of this bird. Notice what it looks like out of the bird's eyes. Notice what it feels like to have a beak instead of your mouth. And then I want you to just start to explore movement in this bird body. So how does it feel to take off and fly? How does the wind feel in your feathers? What does the world look like from where you're at? So just taking moment or two to really sort of explore movement in this borrowed bird body. Do you fly and land on a branch or somewhere else, or do you just take off and soar? Take a moment to look down at the human body that you normally inhabit, sitting on the rock or the log, and just notice what you look like from above. And take a few moments to really savor and enjoy this experience, being able to fly in the body of a bird. Notice how the world sounds when you're up in the air. Notice what it feels like to have wings and feathers and a different kind of sight. And begin to slowly start to circle back down towards the place where you started and come to a gentle landing in front of the body that you normally inhabit. And again, you make eye contact and the exchange happens. You're back in your body, sitting on the log or the rock, and the bird is back in the bird body. You look at each other and you give a silent thank you, a silent moment of gratitude to this beautiful bird that's given you the experience of flight. And then you start to feel back into your skin, your backside on the log or the boulder, your feet on the ground. You notice the temperature of the air on your skin. You notice vegetation and sky. You notice any sounds around you. And then you come back into your body here on the mat, noticing how your body feels lying down, beginning to move your fingers and toes, beginning to deepen your breath. When you're ready, take a deeper inhale and just stretch however it feels good to stretch. Exhale through your mouth. Bend your knees, hug them in if you need to, roll to your right side. Go ahead and press yourself up into sitting. As you come back to that nice aligned spine with a seated posture, draw your head back like we've been talking about, just to make sure it's balanced on top of your spine. You might notice that now it's a lot easier to get the head to just draw back and sit. Notice how you feel as a result of your practice, as a result of using your imagination to take flight and inhabit a different body for a moment. So for our breath work today, we're just going to be doing a 1-1-2 ratio breath. And so what that means is whatever you inhale, I'd like you to hold your breath for the same length and then exhale for twice as long. By the way, if holding your breath makes you anxious or uncomfortable, don't do that. You can skip that. But if you can, whatever you inhale, your hold will be the same length, and then you'll exhale for twice as long. An example would be inhaling for 3, holding the breath for 3, exhaling for 6, or inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 8. You get the idea. So just keep that straight spine with the head drawn back. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale completely through your nose. Off you go. It's your count. 1-1-2 ratio breathing. Finish out the breath you're on. And as you do finish it, just let your breathing return to normal and take one last opportunity to notice how you feel. Bring your palms together in front of your heart in gratitude. Gratitude for your practice today. Gratitude for your practice as a whole, this entirety of yoga. Gratitude for a beautiful day, a beautiful breath, and your beautiful life. Take one more huge inhale through your nose. Big sigh. Palms to the forehead, reminding us to be present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open and to always practice kindness and compassion. Thank you guys for joining me today. Namaste.